Hello everyone. This lesson in phonetics is entitled Stress Placement in Simple Words. Before we start, we need to first understand what do we mean by simple words. A word is considered as simple from the morphological point of view when it consists of a single stem or base. That is to say, a single root without affixes. By affixes we mean prefixes and suffixes. Such simple words may contain 1, 2, or even 3 syllables. In this unit, we are going to deal with 2-syllable words and 3-syllable ones. We start with the first task where you have to put the stress mark on the appropriate syllable. So we have a couple of words. I'm going to read them for you, and you are going to try to guess the stress placement, and you put the stress mark for the primary stress before and above the line, before the stress syllable and above the line. I start. Enemy. Enemy. Yeah, the stress is on the first syllable, is on e. Collect. Collect. The stress is on the second syllable, it is on lect. Capital. Capital. So the stress here is on the first syllable, on ca. Carnation. Carnation. So here the stress is on nay, because we have the suffix ion, so the stress is on the penult, the second from the end, on nay. Paradise. Paradise. So here the stress is on the first syllable, which is pa. Subtract. Subtract. The stress is on tract, on the last syllable, on the second syllable, tract. Elephant. Elephant. Good. The stress is on the first syllable, on e. Profit. Profit. So here the stress is on the first syllable, on pro. And finally the word entertain. Entertain. So the stress is on the last syllable, on tain, but because we have 2 syllables before the primary, so we need another degree of stress, which is the secondary stress, and whenever we have 2, automatically we put the secondary stress on the first syllable, so we add the stress pattern, the stress mark for the secondary stress below the line before the first syllable, which is an. Good. Now we move to the second task, where we have to pronounce some British place names, so pronouncing from transcription. The following are British place names. When you hear the number, pronounce them with the stress as marked, making the stress syllable longer and louder than the others. Then repeat the correction. Okay, so I'm going to read the words for you, and you try to repeat them. Of course, you have the spelling, the correct spelling for these British place names reversed inside the box. So I'm going to try to read for you all the British place names. Number 1. Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury. Number 2. Polperro. Polperro. Number 3. Aberdeen. Aberdeen. So here the stress is on the last syllable, and we have 2 unstressed syllables before the primary, so we need to add a secondary stress on the first syllable, which is a. So please, you add the stress mark for the secondary stress below the line on the first syllable, which is a. Number 4, Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton. So here, because the primary stress is on ham, so we need another stress, which is a secondary stress, on the first syllable, which is wo. Number 5, Aberystwyth. Aberystwyth. The same thing for here, for this word. So we have the primary stress is on ris, so we need another degree of stress, which is on the first syllable. So we add the secondary stress on a. Number 6, Birmingham. Birmingham. 7, Northampton. Northampton. 8, Dundee. Dundee. 9, Canterbury. Canterbury. And finally, number 10, Basingstoke. Basingstoke. Great. Now we move to the rule or the rules that we are going to see today, which are about stress placement in 2-syllable words or disyllabic words, and also full 3-syllabic words, that is, words with 3 syllables. The place of stress in a word depends partly on its syntactic function, that is to say, the grammatical class the word belongs to. The words we examine here are verbs, adjectives, and nouns. And somewhat different stress rules apply to these categories of speech. The place of stress also depends in part on the phonological structure of the last 2 syllables. We need to consider whether a syllable is an open syllable. So what do we mean by an open syllable? It's a syllable ending with a vowel and no consonant after it. So an open syllable, it's a syllable, it ends with a peak. It has no coda, no consonants after the peak. For example, the word see. So in the word see, it's 1 syllable, so it ends with e, a peak, which is a long vowel, it's the peak, but no consonant after the peak, so it's an open syllable. Another example, the word toy. Toy, so it ends with a diphthong and no syllable. So here again, toy is a syllable, an open syllable. We carry on the rule, or whether it is a syllable closed by a certain number of consonants. So what does it mean, a closed syllable? A syllable which is closed or ends with a number of consonants. It means after the peak we have consonants, so a syllable with a coda. It can be 1 syllable or more, or 1 consonant or more. We also need to consider vowel length, that is to say, if the vowels are short, the short vowels are symbolized by V and a curved line above it. Again, a short vowel is symbolized by a vowel and above it we have a curved line, or long vowel, and the long vowel is symbolized by V and a straightforward line above it. A long vowel is symbolized by V and a straightforward line above it. So we start our rules. We have the first rule, which is for verbs and adjectives as well. The first rule, rule 1, it is for verbs and adjectives of 2 or 3 syllables. So this rule, which is for verbs and adjectives, has 3 sub-rules. Rule 1a, Rule 1b and Rule 1c. We start with Rule 1a. Here in the box it's 1, but it's a, not 1. So, Rule 1a says, if the verb has the final syllable, or we call it the alt, which is short word for ultimate. So, if the alt or the final syllable ending with a long vowel or diphthong, ending with a long vowel or diphthong in an open syllable, we have explained what is an open syllable with no consonant after the vowel or after the peak, or with either of these, that is, long vowel or diphthong followed by a single consonant. Then, if we have these 4 cases, then the primary stress falls on the alt, that is the final syllable. I re-explain again Rule 1a. Rule 1a says, if the last syllable or the alt consists of a long vowel or a diphthong or a long vowel plus 1 single consonant or a diphthong plus 1 single consonant. So if you have these 4 cases, the primary stress will fall on the alt. This is Rule 1a. We move to Rule 1b. It's 2 here in the box, but it's b. So Rule 1b says, if the verb or the adjective has the final syllable, that is the alt, ending in a short vowel followed by 2 consonants. Again, a short vowel followed by 2 consonants, then the primary stress will occur on the final syllable or the alt. So, I re-explain again Rule 1b. It says, if the last syllable of the verb or the adjective has or contains a vowel, a short vowel, followed by only 2 consonants, not 1, not 3. So short vowel plus 2 consonants. If you find this case, the primary stress will occur on the final syllable or the alt. The last sub-rule, which is Rule 1c, in the box you have 3, but it's c. So Rule 1c says, otherwise. What do we mean here by otherwise? It means if you don't find Rule 1a and Rule 1b, if you don't find the cases stated above, i.e. in all other cases, it means other cases rather than we have seen in Rule 1a and Rule 1b. In all the other cases, any case, the primary stress falls on the syllable before the last, called the penultimate syllable or the penult, that is the second from the end. Again, Rule 1c says, otherwise, it means other cases. If you don't find cases of 1 and 2, of A and B, it means any other case rather than A and B. It means there are other cases. What do? You put the stress on the penult, that is the second from the end. Now I have just explained the Rule 1a, Rule 1b and Rule 1c, which is devoted for verbs and adjectives of 2 and 3 syllables. We do the task for verbs. Now we have a task for verbs. So you are asked to mark the stress and you identify the rule you have used to identify the stress. So we start all the verbs. We have 10 verbs. So you are going to use this rule for verbs. So we have 10 verbs. I'm going to read them. They are already transcribed, and try to put the stress mark, and you tell me or you identify the rule you have used. We start with the first verb. 1. Deceive. Deceive. So here the stress is on the alt. Good. So we start using the new words. The alt is the last syllable or the first from the end. So the stress is on sieve. Why the stress is on C? So, because you have used rule 1A. Which one in 1A? Because we have 3 cases in 1A. Yes, it's the rule 1A, long vowel followed by one single consonant. Here we have the long vowel E followed by one single consonant, which is V. So here, we have the rule 1A. Good. Second verb, sharpen, sharpen. So here the stress is on the penult. The penult, that is the second from the end. Why we have placed the stress on the penult? Because we have applied rule 1C. What does it mean, rule 1C? Rule 1C says that in other cases we have not found rule 1A and rule 1B. So here we have a short vowel and one consonant. Short vowel and one consonant is not stated in rule 1A and rule 1B, so we use 1C, which is other cases. So we say the stress is on the penult, on sha, and we have used rule 1C, we have short vowel and one consonant. Number 3. Collect, collect. So here the stress is on lect, on the alt. Why on the alt? Which rule we have used? Yes, it's rule 1B. 1B. What do we have here? The rule 1B says short vowel followed by 2 consonants. What do we have here? We have the short vowel A and the 2 consonants are K and T. That's why we place the stress on lect, on the alt. Next word or next verb, pronounce, pronounce. So as you hear, the stress is on the alt, on nouns. But why it's on the alt, though we don't have one of the rules 1A or 1B? We have a diphthong and 2 consonants. This case is not stated in rule 1A and rule 1B. It means we need to use rule 1C, but rule 1C says it's on the penult. And I said that we put the stress on nouns on the alt. Yes, we have exceptions for all the rules. So here it's an exception for rule 1C. Again, an exception for rule 1C. In fact, the penult is a schwa and we cannot stress a schwa. So we say pronounce, and you say that it's an exception for rule 1C. We carry on. The next verb is the verb copy. Copy. So the stress here is on the penult. Good, on ko. Why? Because we have used the rule 1C. What do we have here? We have only a short vowel. And in the cases 1A and 1B, we don't have a short vowel alone. It means there are other cases, so we use 1C on the penult. Number 6. The verb to object. Object. So where is the stress? The stress is on the alt, that is the last one, that is the first from the end. Object. Why? Because we have used the rule 1B. What do we have here? We have a short vowel followed by 2 consonants. We have A followed by K and T. That's why it's 1B on the alt. Next verb is the verb conquer. Conquer. So where is the stress? Yes, it's on the penult because we have used the rule 1C. Here on the last syllable we have a schwa. It means it's not rule 1A and it's not rule 1B. So we apply rule 1C, which says other cases. So here it's 1C, stress on ko, which is the penult. The next verb is the verb record. Record. So here the stress is on the alt, that is the last one. Why? Because we have applied the rule 1A. Which case in 1A? It is long vowel plus one single consonant. We have the long vowel O plus the consonant D. So here 1A, long vowel plus consonant. So the stress on the alt. The next verb is the verb polish. Polish. As you can hear, the stress is on the penult. Penult, that is the second from the end on po. Why? Because it is 1C. 1C. Other cases, we have short vowel and consonant. And this is another case that we have not seen in 1A and 1B. So we apply 1C and it is on the penult 1C. The last verb is the verb to depend. Depend. Here the stress is on the alt, on pend. Why? Because we have applied rule 1B. 1B. What do we have here? We have a short vowel followed by two consonants. So here, what is the short vowel? It is A, and the two consonants are N and D. So we apply 1B on the alt. Good. We have finished with verbs. We move to page 11. Page 11 for adjectives. Okay, we have the same exercise, but we have 10 adjectives. What is the rule for adjectives? We apply the same rule for verbs. That is rule 1A, rule 1B, or rule 1C. So, I'm going to read again the 10 adjectives for you, and you try to do the same thing. You guess the place of the primary stress and which rule we have applied in each adjective. We start with the first adjective. It's easy. Easy. So which rule we have applied here? We have applied rule 1C. It means on the penult, on E, second from the end. Why? Because we have other cases. We have short vowel. And this case is not stated in 1A and not stated in 1B. So we apply 1C, other cases, on the penult. Second adjective, complete. Complete. So here the stress is on the alt, that is leet. So why we have put the stress on the alt? Because we have applied rule 1A, which says the case of long vowel plus one consonant. We have the long vowel E plus the consonant T. So it's rule 1A, stress on the alt. The next adjective is the adjective major. Major. So here the stress is on the penult. Penult. Second from the end. So we have applied the rule 1C because we have a schwa at the end. It is a short vowel. So we don't have 1A, we don't have 1B. So we apply 1C. The next adjective is the adjective alone. Alone. So, as you can hear, the stress is on the alt, on lone, and we have applied rule 1A. Why 1A? Because in 1A we have a case which says a diphthong plus one consonant. So here we have the diphthong O plus one consonant, which is no. So here we apply the alt. alone. So here on the alt, because we have rule 1a, diphthong plus one consonant. The next adjective is the adjective below, below. So here the stress is on the alt, that is the last syllable, which is on low. Why? Because we have applied rule 1a when the last syllable has a diphthong alone. So here we have the diphthong O, so we can apply rule 1a when we have a diphthong in the last syllable and it is on the alt. The next adjective is the adjective yellow, yellow. So here, as you can hear, I said yellow, not yellow. I have not applied the same rule as I did for below, though they consist of the same thing. The last syllable has a diphthong. Why I put the stress on yeah on the penult and not on the alt? Because I have a diphthong. Yes, this is an exception for the rule. So you say yellow, stress on the penult and not on the alt, because it is an exception for 1a, a diphthong. Okay? This is English. We have so many exceptions. For example, like follow is also an exception for verbs. So we cannot apply the rule 1a, so we put it on the penult. The next adjective, adjective number 7, early, early. So here the stress is on the penult because we have applied rule 1c, 1c, because we don't have rule 1a and rule 1b, we have a short vowel, so we have applied rule 1c. The next adjective is the adjective sublime, sublime. So here the stress is on lime, the alt. Why on the alt? Because we have applied the rule 1a, diphthong plus consonant. We have the diphthong a plus the consonant m, so the stress is on the alt, sublime. The next adjective is the adjective heavy, heavy. So here the stress is on the penult, the second from the end, on hair. Why? Because we have applied rule 1c in this adjective. It is rule 1c. We have a short adjective. We have a short vowel, so we have applied 1c. The last adjective is the adjective alive, alive. So here the stress is on the alt because we have applied the rule 1a, diphthong plus one consonant. The diphthong is the diphthong I plus the consonant v. So here it's on the alt. We have finished with the first rule, which is devoted for verbs and adjectives. So to sum up the rules, before we go to another rule, to sum up the rules, rule 1a is subdivided into 3 sub-rules. So we have rule 1a, which says if the last syllable has or contains a long vowel or a diphthong or a long vowel plus a consonant or a diphthong plus a consonant, this rests on the alt, that is the last syllable. Rule 1b says if the last syllable contains a short vowel plus 2 consonants, the stress is on the alt. And finally, rule 1c says other cases. If we don't have 1a and 1b, any other case, the stress is on the penult, that is the second from the end. So this rule is devoted for verbs and adjectives of 2 and 3 syllables. Now we move to rule 2. Rule 2, which is devoted to nouns. Rule 2 is devoted for nouns. What does this rule say? So, rule 2 A, and we have rule 2A and rule 2B. So it's not 1 and 2 in the box, it's A and B. So rule 2A says, if the final syllable of the noun, be careful, it's a noun, if the final syllable of the noun contains a short vowel, then the primary stress will not fall on the last syllable, but on the one just before it, that is the penult. Again, rule 2A says, if the last syllable contains a short vowel, only a short vowel. Here in this rule, in the second rule, we don't care about the coda. We don't care about the consonants. Just we look to the peak. Okay, just we look to the peak. So if the peak has a short vowel, the stress on the penult. That is the second from the end. Rule 2B says, if the final syllable of the noun contains a long vowel or diphthong, then the primary stress will fall on the last syllable, that is the alt. So again, I repeat, rule 2 is devoted for nouns. So we have two sub-rules. Rule 2A says, if the last syllable of the noun contains a short vowel, the stress is on the penult. If the rule 2B says, if the last syllable of the noun contains a long vowel or diphthong, again, we don't care about the coda or the consonant, just we look to the peak. So if we have a long vowel or a diphthong, the noun will be stressed on the alt. Good. In fact, I want to add another rule here. Maybe you call it rule 2C. It's not found in your papers, but you can add it to your papers. It says, you can call it rule 2C, as I said. So it says, if the noun has 3 syllables. So if the noun has 3 syllables and the last syllable of this noun is or ends with a long vowel or a diphthong. So if the noun has 3 syllables and the last syllable is a long vowel or a diphthong, the primary stress will fall on the antepenult. On the antepenult. What is the antepenult? Third from the end. Like the word paradise that we have seen in the previous paper. So the stress is on the antepenult, third from the end. Again, I repeat, another rule to be added to nouns, which is rule 2C. It says, if the noun has 3 syllables, not 2, 3 syllables, and the last syllable contains a long vowel or diphthong, the stress is on the antepenult, that is the third from the end. Now we jump directly to the exercise. We have, I think, 10 disyllabic, it means of 2 syllable nouns, and we try to put the stress and which rule we have applied. So we start with the first noun. The first noun is the noun bishop. Bishop. So directly we look to the last syllable, we look to the peak. What do we have here? We have a schwa. It means stress on the penult. That's why we say bishop. It's on the penult, on B. Good. So which rule? It's rule 2A. It's rule 2A because we have a short vowel. Number 2. Aspect. Aspect. So here the stress on the penult because the last syllable has a short vowel, which is A. So here on the penult, rule 2A. The next noun is the noun affair. Affair. So as you can hear, the stress is on the alt. Why? Because we have a diphthong in the last syllable, so we have applied rule 2b. Rule 2b, because we have a diphthong, so the stress is on the alt, affair. The next noun is the noun carpet. Carpet. So here we have a short vowel, so it's on the penult, rule 2a. Carpet. The next noun is the noun defeat. Defeat. So the stress is on the alt because we have a long vowel. E, a long vowel. Again, in nouns, don't look for consonants. You just look for the peak. So here the stress is on the alt, rule 1a. Sorry, rule 1b. Number 6. Office. Office. So stress on the penult because we have a short vowel. So it's rule 2a. The next noun, array. Array. Because we have a diphthong, stress on the, I said, stress on the alt, so it's on ray, and we have applied rule 2b because we have a diphthong. The next noun is the noun patrol. Patrol. So the stress is on the alt because we have a diphthong o, so we have used rule 2b. Next noun is the noun dentist. Dentist. So here stress on the penult because we have a short vowel in the last syllable, so we have applied rule 2a, short vowel. And finally, the last noun is the noun autumn. Autumn. Stress on the penult because we have short vowel in the last syllable, so we have applied rule 2a. Rule 2a. We stop here, so we have finished our lesson for today. Thank you.